The Women's Tennis Association says it's suspending all tournaments in China. It comes after the Chinese tennis star Peng Shuai disappeared from public view for 3 weeks after she accused a top official of sexual assault. In the wake of the new Omicron variant, the World Health Organization has warned of a toxic mix of low vaccination coverage and low testing rates. They say it creates a fertile breeding ground for new COVID variants. The US actor Alec Baldwin has given his first interview since a gun he was holding on set went off, killing the cinematographer Helena Hutchin. He said he did not pull the trigger on the gun. And abortion law in America is facing its toughest challenge in a generation. The US Supreme Court has started to hear arguments in a case that could overturn a landmark ruling from 1973 that gave women the constitutional right to abortion.
We start here in Japan, where authorities have lost contact with a Panamanian-registered cargo ship after it issued a distress signal off western Japan. A Coast Guard patrol ship is heading to the area in the Sea of Japan to search for the vessel. Coast Guard officials say the ship was about 380 kilometers northwest of Okinoshima Island when it issued the distress signal on Wednesday afternoon. 18 Vietnamese crew members are believed to be on board. That morning, a message received from the ship said one of the crew members had fallen overboard. At that time, the ship's management company reported the vessel had taken on water and was listing. Now to the coronavirus situation here in Japan. The government has confirmed the nation's second case of the Omicron variant. Since being identified in South Africa, the strain has been confirmed in at least 25 countries and regions across the globe. A man in his 20s who had been in Peru was confirmed to be infected with the variant after arriving at Narita Airport near Tokyo on Saturday. He tested positive for the coronavirus at the airport. He's been in quarantine since his sample was sent for further analysis. Health Ministry officials say he received a second dose of the Pfizer vaccine in October. The man traveled to Japan via Doha in Qatar. Officials are checking the condition of all 114 people who were on the same plane. Japan is tightening its border controls in response to the global spread of Omicron. The Transport Ministry is asking airlines to stop accepting reservations for all international flights to Japan until the end of December. Reservations already made will not be canceled, but even Japanese nationals currently overseas will not be able to book new flights to Japan. The ministry says it may review its request depending on the coronavirus situation. NHK spoke to an infectious disease specialist for his insight into the new variant. Yamamoto Taro has spent many years helping developing countries fight infectious diseases.
What we know so far is that the infectivity of the mutant virus seems to be higher than the previous mutant strains. However, there is still no information about virulence and symptoms.
He says it's important to heed the lessons learned from the Delta variant. The medical system was quickly overwhelmed by the speed of infection. Some hospitals couldn't handle the number of patients.
We have now time to provide with the bedding in the hospital and the caring system. So we need to take those measures which needed for the next wave of epidemics.
Vaccination rates in African countries are still very low. Yamamoto believes supporting them is the key to ending the pandemic.
I think, personally, that the 3 times vaccination in developed country is good. But still, we should pay more attention to the countries where there is the very low rate of the vaccination. And that is and also the disparity that existed between rich and poor countries.
Well, Japan is already blocking any new foreign arrivals as a measure against the Omicron variant. Now, the restrictions will also apply to foreign residents in Japan from 10 African countries. That includes South Africa, Angola, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Namibia. The rules take effect on Thursday. Non-Japanese without residency status are already barred. Japan is also adding more nations to a list requiring stricter quarantine rules. All residents, including Japanese nationals who arrive from Sweden, Spain, Nigeria, and Portugal, must now spend 3 days in quarantine at government-designated facilities. That list now includes 48 countries and regions, some of which require longer quarantine periods. Japan's vaccination program has now moved to the next stage, with doctors, nurses, and other healthcare professionals receiving boosters. Health officials say just over 1 million people can get the jab in December. Another 2 million healthcare professionals are slated for boosters next month. That's along with over 600,000 senior citizens. Some municipalities also aim to start giving third shots to younger groups in the new year. For now, everyone will receive the Pfizer vaccine. Moderna is waiting for booster approval. Araki Kazuhiro was among the first in line to receive the third shot.
Data on the effectiveness of vaccines against the Omicron variant will be collected from this point on, but vaccines are said to work for the other variants to a certain extent, so a third round of doses is very important.
Right now, boosters are given at least 8 months after the second shot. But some local Japanese politicians do not want people to wait any longer than 6 months. Health Ministry officials say a shorter wait is possible, but only in cases of cluster infections at hospitals or nursing homes.
Elderly care homes have requested that we get them boosters as soon as possible.
The mayor said those calls have grown louder amid news of the potentially more dangerous Omicron variant. But the minister in charge of vaccinations says the current policy will not be changed. South Korea has set a new high in daily coronavirus infections. For the first time since the pandemic began, the tally has topped 5,000. The government says there were a record 5,123 new cases on Tuesday. Hospitals were treating 723 patients with severe symptoms, also the most ever. Infections are concentrated in Seoul, putting the medical system there under strain. More than 90% of the beds for critically ill patients in the capital are occupied. Now, around 80% of the country's 52 million people have been fully vaccinated. But infections are on the rise among the elderly who were inoculated early on and children who are still largely unvaccinated. The presence of the Omicron variant has also been confirmed for the first time in South Korea. The government announced on Wednesday evening 5 people are infected with the new strain. Turning now to Myanmar, where the military has filed a new corruption charge against ousted leader Aung San Suu Kyi and President Win Min. Aung San Suu Kyi is already facing trial on more than 10 cases. She's rejected all the charges to date.
နိုင်ငံတော်သမ္မတဟောင်းဦးဝင်းမြင့်နဲ့နိုင်ငံတော်၏အတိုင်ပင်ခံပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ဟောင်းဒေါ်အောင်ဆန်းစုကြည်တို့ဟာလည်းနိုင်ငံရေးရာထူးလက်ရှိဖြစ်ခဲ့စဉ်က၎င်းတို့ရဲ့လုပ်ပိုင်ခွင့်အခွင့်အာဏာကိုအသုံးပြု၍ဗဏ္ဍာရေးစီမံစည်းကမ်းများကိုလိုက်နာဆောင်ရွက်ခြင်းမပြုဘဲ
The state-run TV reported on Tuesday the new charge is related to the purchase and leasing of government helicopters. The anti-corruption law carries a maximum 15-year prison sentence. Aung San Suu Kyi has been detained since the coup in February. The report of the new charge came after the court was set to deliver the first verdict on Tuesday. But the verdict on charges of incitement of public unrest and violating coronavirus restrictions was postponed to next Monday. The Taliban have been in power in Afghanistan for more than 3 months, but the group has yet to be recognized by the international community. Representatives from the United States and the Taliban-led government have met in Doha to discuss a range of issues. The talks were held Monday and Tuesday between the U.S. team led by Special Representative for Afghanistan Thomas West and its counterpart led by Taliban Acting Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi. The U.S. State Department said the Taliban expressed openness to engaging the international community on providing access to education for women and girls. It added the Islamist group welcomed the monitoring of progress in the education sector. The U.S. delegation expressed concern over allegations of human rights abuses under the Taliban, including those involving women. It said the Taliban's actions will determine whether the group can win recognition from the international community. Both sides discussed the ongoing humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan. The U.S. delegation pledged to provide aid through the UN and other parties. The Afghan economy has slumped and the humanitarian situation is worsening. Japan's nuclear regulator has approved an anti-terrorism plan for the Tokai No. 2 nuclear plant in Ibaraki Prefecture, north of Tokyo. New government regulations for nuclear plants were introduced after the 2011 Fukushima accident. They mandate the construction of facilities including a backup control room and cooling equipment in case the central control room is knocked out by an act of terrorism or an airplane crash. The Nuclear Regulation Authority on Wednesday approved the plan drawn up by the plant's operator, Japan Atomic Power Company. The authority said the plan meets the new regulations. The approval was the first for an anti-terror plan for a boiling water reactor, the type used at the crippled Fukushima Daiichi plant. But it remains unclear when the Tokai No. 2 plant can go back online. The operator says work to install the new facilities is expected to continue until December 2022, and it has yet to draw up a plan for evacuation in the event of an accident or to obtain local support for restarting. The latest national census has revealed Japan's population is continuing to shrink. It fell 0.7% in the 5 years through 2020. The results of last year's count show the population stood at just over 126,146,000. That figure is down by nearly 950,000 from the 2015 survey, which saw the first decrease since census taking began in 1920. Breaking it down further, the number of Japanese nationals slipped 1.4% from the previous survey, while the number of foreign residents hit a record high, up by 43.6% over the same 5-year period. And highlighting Japan's aging population, the number of people 65 or older was around 36 million, a highest ever 28.6% of the total. Switching now to the weather, fierce wind gusts in western parts of Turkey have led to some dangerous scenes on Tuesday. Our meteorologist John Thunnell explains what happened in our World Weather Report.
Hello, we've been monitoring some of these stormy patterns that have rolled over portions of Turkey over the past few days. But when you have strong winds, you tend to get some sometimes scary situations and some bizarre situations as well. Here's a look at some video. We're going to start out with that scary moment as we had a man running away from a collapsing construction panel in Turkey Monday. This was over in western Turkey. He was okay, but many buildings were severely damaged due to the powerful winds. Now, here's the bizarre that you're going to see here. That same day, a washing machine walking down the street following a man. Well, it looks like it's following down the man down the street. The strong winds pushed that washer for a short time, but it was brought back to the store without any damage. Things should start to calm down across Turkey. High pressure will be moving in, and so probably won't be seeing those kinds of scenarios, at least for the foreseeable future. The strong winds are actually back toward the north as we have a low pressure system rolling through, and that's going to help bring down those temperatures. Daytime highs coming up on Thursday will be into the single digits for many areas. 6 in Paris and Berlin, 8 in Vienna. Stockholm below freezing on Thursday. Moscow seeing the possibility of some snow. We had our fair share of some strong weather in terms of heavy rains and strong winds as it went through Wednesday morning. Especially, you see those bright white clouds all pushing out, clear air coming in. Though we do have this northwesterly flow, and so that's going to be something to watch out for in terms of cloud cover. Can't rule out the possibility of seeing some snow associated with that as you go forward in time. And that's all indicative of the really cold air up toward the north and west here. Look at this. I mean, some of these temperatures way up high in the atmosphere, really frigid temperatures, and that's going to help bring down the daytime highs. So be on the lookout for that. Tokyo will be a little bit cooler compared to Wednesday. On Thursday, a high of 14 with partly cloudy skies. Hope you have a good day wherever you are.